Hello and welcome to the Hedonistic Way at Midday show. I am Renee Main and today I have another fabulous guest for you. She's the girl next door with the sweet smile and the generous eyes. She is the epitome of kind, approachable and genuine. Underneath all that, she's absolutely wicked. She's not really at all, because those values run so deep into her soul, and through her devotion and relentless drive, it's really beginning to see, she's turning heads is what I'm trying to say, and she's magnetizing all of us in the most divine way. She's rewriting our money stories and opening us up to receive more and make more and accumulate wealth in the most soulful way. She has an army of people who absolutely sing her praise and they hold her in such high esteem. She's a financial intuitive, she's an intuition teacher, and she's all about freedom and flow. It is my absolute honor to introduce you to Brooke Hunt. Welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, what an introduction. Thank you, Renee. I am blown away with that. Amazing. It is so amazing to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad that we got to arrange a time just to connect with you. I was saying to you earlier, before we started streaming, is, people really do sing your praise, and it is just this, whether it's you or the body of work or, whatever it is, but you really are magnetic. And I'm really curious to know what has been your dance to really own all of who you are, and where your worth and your esteem just ripples out into it in a really honoring way. Like, what was there, what was the before and after?
Oh goodness, and there was a very distinct before and after, I have to tell you. And it is all comes down to that self-esteem and that self-worth. And it comes down to the very main fact that before I was in the reality that I was separate and finite and just this separate person here, and then the after was absolutely opening up to the understanding that I am energy first, I am physical second. So I before was letting my ego, my brain, my human side try and run things, try and run my business, try and run my life, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. And then I got to that point of surrendering, and that has been a very long process, and it's a continual process. Yes, I'm sure you agree. It's not something that you ever finish doing. But it definitely became a tipping point in that surrendering, when I was like, okay, all right, just use me and show me and tell me what you want me to do. Allow me to do it for myself so I can teach other people to do it as well, because it's needed. The service these glorious women have is needed in this world. So show me how to bring my service to the world so I can show other women how to bring their service to the world. So it was that faith, that trust, that absolute surrender. To say it's still a work in progress always, but it was that surrendering that I am more energy than I am physical, and having to put that trust and faith in something greater than I am, or excuse me, understanding that I am something greater than I thought I was.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really want to ask about that, is what you just said there, realizing that you are something greater than what you were. Tell me about that realization, because, you said, we're energy first and physical second, and we're also human.
Yes.
So, what is that? What is that something greater?
It is that connection to the infinite. it was a long process for me, because I didn't come from a world of spirituality or understanding that I was anything more than what I was born as this finite person. I was a bookkeeper. I was very analytical. There was no room or movement or understanding at all about anything greater than this life I thought I was here for, except for the yearning that I continued to feel inside. So my whole journey of discovering who I was and unearthing that greater side, and it is a continual daily practice to remind myself that I am energy first, physical second. Yes, we all have these physical bodies, these 3D bodies, but we are all interconnected consciousness. We have energetic bodies as well as physical bodies. And our 5 dominant senses, the problem is our 5 dominant senses tell us we are just this. We are just this body. We are just this separate finite person. And we've been taught our whole life that every sense, every part of our society, our collective tells us this. But when we understand there is something greater, and the research and the understanding of that is out there as well, and is getting louder to help everyone else understand, that's when we can learn to expand ourselves, expand our understanding, and move into that energetic realm instead of just the physical. And it is an everyday practice. Like I teach, as you said, I teach intuition, and one of the parts of teaching intuition is the 3 immutable laws, and that 3rd law is the law of vibration. We are energy first, physical second. Greg Braden tells us the feeling is the prayer, and it's all about connecting into that energetic side of us that we thought we didn't think we were.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the point where, was there a tipping point where you went, okay, that's it, like I have to actually do something? Like what was the tipping point for you? And do you think that everyone needs to arrive at that tipping point for them to actually take that long-lasting action towards that something greaher?
Look, I don't think there definitely was a tipping point for me, and I'd love to tell you about it. But so I'll move to the second question first. Does everyone have to get to that tipping point to move into that something greater? Not necessarily, but normally that's what makes us do it. We get to that point where we are just fed up, like we've just had enough and nothing is working, and okay, so let's try something different. We can absolutely do that without having to hit that suffering, like the dark night of the soul. We don't have to experience that to awaken, but majority of us do, because we don't know any other way. So mine happened not even a year ago. It was December last year. And I had graduated as an intuitive guide in June, July. I had done my teacher training in September. And I had this calling from the infinite to combine my bookkeeping and my intuitive guide work. And I was resisting it completely. I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm not great with money myself. How can I teach people this, what I don't even know? And I remember December, a payment had been taken out of my account which shouldn't have been, which had made me overdrawn, and something else had happened on my credit card, and then I'd had a bill from one of my kids' activities, and like everything came in this one day, and I lost my shit. I just absolutely lost it. And I remember I drove to the beach, and I screamed at God. And I was like, I have had enough. I have had enough of the suffering and the worry and the stress. And I was like, just fine. I was like, fine. If you want me to do this, I will do it. I said, but you tell me what to do. I said, you tell me what to do so I can lead other women to do the same, so I can change their life as well as mine. Show me what to do, and I promise you, I will share it with the world. And then the next morning, I got woken up at 5:30 in the morning with true healing must come from within. And I woke up with that, and I went to sit on my meditation cushion. It was like, no, you must write. And I picked up my journal, and my very first program just flooded out of me. And within the week, I had the women booked in to do it, and it has not stopped since then. And it was like, it was that final point of surrendering and understanding that as our mentor and teacher, Ricky Jane Adams, tells us all the time, her service is in her medicine, and my service is my medicine. I must remind myself daily that I am not just this physical being. I am energetic, and our energy makes such a difference in everything we do. Like, I've launched programs without the energetic component, and they've absolutely bombed. I've launched programs with the energetic component where I haven't told anyone what the program is about. In fact, this whole year, I haven't told people what my program is about. They haven't had the curriculum. They haven't had all the dot points or what we do every week, and they have all sold out. Like, it's such a difference. And that's, it's, as I said, there is definitely a tipping point. You don't have to get to it, but majority of people get to it because then they finally get that fire and that tap has to actually do something about it and to make that change. And that's what had to happen for me as well.
I really hear you when, it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is when you talk about, when you bring in that energetic component to your work and to the service and, not having that and things bomb. And I want to ask you about that because, I'm really, playing with this at the moment of just walking away when it doesn't feel alive in me. What do you do if you're not feeling it in whether it's, there's some things that you have to, show up to, of course.
Yeah.
But if it's not feeling alive in you, what do you do in that moment?
Well, I check in first to make sure it's not my fear telling me that the reason not to do it, because I've had that as well. I've had my fear show up and go, okay, well, you're not going to get the people to do it anyway. It's not going to work. No one's going to show up. Like, are you really going to put yourself out there? So I have to check in first to see actually what is it? Is it my ego trying to tell me, or is it my intuition? And that is where we have to have that spiritual fierceness to know the difference between the two. And that is, again, an ongoing process. So I check in first. And if it's not feeling aligned, I feel that it's my ego getting in the way, telling me I need to run this program because of some egotistical reason, then I let it go. Yeah. If it is my intuition and it is just fear, I go and meet that fear. And then I also have to show up and take that inspired action, because there's one thing to have the energy. Yeah. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll just sit on my meditation cushion all day and I'll keep my energy high and my vibe high and I'll just, I'll just attract all those glorious people in and everything will be okay. Yeah. And it doesn't work like that. You've got to have that combination of energetic and practical. You've got to take those inspired action and those steps. So again, if it's not feeling aligned, I let it go. And if it is feeling aligned, then I open up to, okay, well, what do I need to do? Yeah. What do I need to do? And normally it's show up. And previously when things weren't working, when I was told or intuitively had that hit to show up, I would talk myself out of why I shouldn't. Yeah. And I wouldn't show up. Yeah. But when I show up now, it's a whole different circumstance unfolding.
I feel like there's a lot of people that would be asking, when you said, is it my ego talking, or is it my fear talking, or is it intuition? Now, sometimes that can be really hard to identify. Mm-hmm. So, for someone who's watching sometimes that can be a really fine line and it can be hard to dissect that. So what advice would you give to those people who are thinking that, and for them to, when they feel that moving forward?
You're absolutely right. And it is very hard to judge. And especially when you begin the journey of trying to listen to see which one is which, because to understand that it's your intuition, or to hear your intuition, you also need to have that trust and that faith factor. So there is no magic pill. There's no secret sauce you can take to be able to realize which one is your fear and which one is your intuition, or what is your intuition or what is your ego. It takes practice and willingness to go and discover the different noise or sounds that they make, the different feelings. Check in with your body. How is your body feeling? Is it coming from your heart? Do you feel those glorious high vibing feelings, or when you think about it, are you contracted? Are you closed down? And it is a practice. It is a continual practice of checking in, seeing how it feels, working out what feels good, working out what doesn't feel good. Unfortunately, as I say, there's no secret bullet. It takes practice to be able to distinguish between the two. And I encourage everyone to begin that process of practicing and seeing what is the heart asking you as compared to what is the monkey chatter in your head telling you.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about the financial intuitive stuff, and what do I want to ask? What do you think is the biggest reason why people can find it so hard to receive wealth?
It's a really good question. And the bottom line would be that one word again, fear. Yeah. And a lot of the time when I work with my clients, they will come in and we'll start going down the line of self-esteem and self-worth and we'll get to the end, they're like, well, we didn't even touch on money. And I'm like, yes, we did. Yeah. The reason you're not receiving money is because you don't feel like you are worthy of it. You don't feel like you deserve it. You don't think you are good enough. Like those values and those beliefs that run so deep in us affect everything. I say all the time, money is an innocent bystander, and it is to our fear. And whatever is ruling that undercurrent of our soul, of our self, is what affects our ability to receive money. And whether that is something we've learned from our tribe as we grew up, and those money stories and beliefs that we've received there, whether it's something that we've just watched on the news, whether it's posts we've seen. I had a bit of a rant on my Facebook page the other day because there were all these posts about billionaires and how awful they are and how selfish. And I was like, these posts drive me crazy. Like, you are creating that gap between them and us, and you're just cementing those beliefs that rich people are evil and gross and you don't want to be like them. Like, imagine if you had $1 billion, how would you change the world? What difference would you make? Don't let those minorities affect your willingness to receive, because all those subtle messages we're receiving through the collective is also stopping us from receiving our own abundance. And we have to be willing to open our eyes and see these stories that are stopping us, see the beliefs that are stopping us, see those underlying current of fears that are affecting our ability to receive as well.
Absolutely. And then, I can't even remember who, I was having this conversation just the other day, how common it is to, we want something, and I think money is a big one. People want money, and, usually lots of it. We all know, like people who win the lotto, the majority of them lose it within a certain amount of whatever time period is. And even in a business, you're like, I just want my business to be making this amount of money, or, and then when your business does start, or it could be love, love's another one, is that, I've been dreaming about making this money. I've been dreaming about calling in this amazing person into my life. And once you have it, it's really easy to go into self-sabotage.
Yes.
So what do you say, with that? Because I feel like that comes up a lot, in the community, and in this community, absolutely, is those, that upper limit. What do you say, and what advice do you have for that?
And that's absolutely true. I see it all the time as well. And it is that sabotage, self-sabotage coming through. And awareness is the number one thing I would say first. Make sure that you are aware of what's occurring, because that again will be tied with those undercurrents of fear, because you hit that amount and you're not allowing yourself to receive, or you're not allowing yourself to be happy. You can't be that happy. Something must go wrong, because you can't have it all. We get told these things when we're younger. You can't have it all. You've got to work hard for your money. Money can't be easy. And we have these continually within our subtle anatomy and our energetic body, and these beliefs. And so when we start having it all, when we start making money easy, we're like, oh, hang on a second, this is too good for me. I
Yeah.
can't have this because I'm actually still not worthy of it, or I still don't believe it's possible. Or what about all the other people who don't have what I have? How can I get it? So again, it's of being aware that it's occurring and then going and investigating. Okay, why am I a bit concerned about having this much money? I wonder what's going on. And even if you just start journaling, I've just made my first 5-figure month and I'm really worried I can't do it again. Why don't I think I can do it again? Oh, well, because I'm feeling that I don't deserve it. And what about the other people? And I haven't worked that hard for that 5-figure month. And I really didn't work very hard. And then I know these people work really hard for their money. So you just got to start untangling that web and start being aware and discovering, and that willingness to see what lays beneath the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you spoke about, earlier about the interconnectedness. And I often see that as a web, as well in the matrix, so to speak. And then, you spoke about it just then, untangling the web. I don't know what the question is.
I'll wait for
it. It's that, what is it about the paradox of it, or the seemingly opposites of it, and how can we honor, let's say, both webs and come back to that central pillar that is us?
Yeah. And I think it begins by understanding that central pillar that is us is not separate and finite. Yes, we have energetic bodies. We can measure our energetic bodies all the way down to those subatomic particles. We are energy, and we are interconnected. That's how we're interconnected, all these energetic fields within us. And you can feel that. People who don't, even if you're not spiritual, you don't have that understanding of vibration, you can feel that energetic sensitivity. You walk into that room and two people have had an argument. You haven't heard the argument. You can feel that. Or when you go hang out with somebody and you've never met them before, and you walk away and like, damn, I want to hang out with her some more. Like, I'd love to be around that woman. So we can feel that energetic sensitivity. And we need to understand that, yes, ourselves as this pillar and seemingly separate finite person is so much more than that, and we're not. And so we are all interconnected with that web, as you say, all around the world. And again, in our own, as you said, that paradox, that the opposite of also coming back to ourself and our own web, in our subconscious, we have our own consciousness. So I wish I had the book next to me that I'm reading. I've even forgotten the name of the book that I'm reading, Your Holiness by Debbie. It's going to come to me in a minute. She was talking about how we have this human consciousness and the divine consciousness. And I love that understanding of being able to explain it a bit better. So we still have and they interconnect with each other. Yeah. But inside our own human consciousness, we have our conscious reasoning mind, we have our subconscious, and our subconscious is where we let all of those fears and all of those beliefs flood in. So our reasoning conscious mind is like our personality, what we think is running the show. Yeah, I love my sushi, and I love this sort of car, and I don't like jazz, or whatever it is. We think that is running the show, but it's actually our subconscious that we've allowed all of those beliefs and fears and thoughts to go straight down into our subconscious. And as I tell my clients, we don't have any bodyguards standing between the reasoning conscious mind and the subconscious. So anything that comes in every day into our reasoning conscious mind, and we're like, okay, we just head on down into our subconscious, and there it sits. So we've got no one saying, do you really want to put that down in your subconscious? Are you really sure that's a belief or a truth that you want to keep there, or does that fear really belong there? We don't have that system there. And because we live in a world that privileges fear, and we absolutely privilege fear, the majority of what we put in our subconscious is fear-based thoughts and beliefs. That is the tangled web I'm talking about, in that that human consciousness, but again, that human consciousness is connected to that greater divine consciousness as well.
Yeah. I absolutely, I absolutely agree. And that's there's a Byron Katie quote that I found, and I shared it with my interns last week, but I can't remember what that is.
I'm giving you my disease.
Yeah, no. It was something like, I love my thoughts, but I believe none of them.
Yes.
And it was, for me, it was like, it's that, like, just, you were talking about your senses earlier, and, how, just for want of a better word, but how limiting they can be sometimes. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, like when you brought in that energetic component and say, as you were just saying, like that, you brought in that divine consciousness into your human consciousness, what happened to those senses?
So my 5 dominant senses, which are like my human everyday ones,
Yeah.
the feeling state one definitely became heightened a lot. So my intuition obviously increased, and that muscle is one that I continually work, but that just the feeling state in itself is something that is just off the charts now. So it's, whereas, and I didn't even realize, one of those things I didn't realize beforehand, I never checked in with my feeling state. It was like, that's now become an additional sense, as well as touch. It's that feeling state as well, which is still in that physical body, but is become its own sensation, its own owners on its own and standing in its own right. And that is absolutely increased. Like when majority of the time, my vibration is so high, and when it's not, I'm pretty good at being able to regulate that, instead of having the highs and then the crashing down lows. I'm able to regulate that. But that was an additional sense that I was able to, I guess, add in to those 5. And I allowed that and my intuition now to be my strongest ones, as opposed to that 5 dominant, touch, hear, sight, that we have all grown up with as being our dominant 5 senses. I've allowed these 2 to begin to at least become on par with those dominant 5 human senses that we were told that that's all we had. So yes, it's like, in fact, I have never thought about it like this way before, but it's like we've got the 7, so we've got that 6 intuition, 1 6 sense, then also just the feeling state, that vibration as well. And I believe it's strong enough to stand in its own right.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And that's, and I ask you because for me, it's like it amplified and intensified and ignited all my other senses. So it was like, they've been, like watching black and white TV, and then you get color, like it was that. So for me, that's when like the decadence just started to drip in, like for me, much more. So I was curious as to your experience with that.
Yeah, well, the vibration, the energetic vibrational state absolutely makes everything more pleasurable, because you're in that higher feeling state. So it's more the love feelings and the excitement and the gratitude and the joy. So that absolutely, extends all others to be in that same realm.
Yeah. Talking about, those higher states of consciousness, they're the light and fluffy ones. How then can you bring that same decadence and honoring into the dark?
Beautiful question, because there is always dark. There cannot be light without the dark. And it's like, because when you become fearless, it doesn't mean you no longer have fear and feel fear. There's always that component. but it's how you view it. And that has been the difference. So instead of viewing my fear through the lens of fear, I now view my fear or those darker days through the lens of love. And I look at it with the lens of love and with gratitude and say, okay, what have I missed? What do I need to know? What can I learn from this experience right now, which will better me in the days to come? Yes, I see every fear as being that friendly ally, as being that teacher. What can you teach me? What am I here to learn? And that's not to say that every dark moment has a lesson and you have to, the universe is set to set you lessons and you're going to suffer and you have to. But you're absolutely right. There's always the darkness. You can't always be in that light frame. But what you do when you're in that darkness and how you view it absolutely changes everything. Instead of allowing yourself to be brought further down and sit in that pity party and make yourself even lower and deeper and darker. Instead, it's looking through the eyes of love and saying, okay, well, I'm here now. What do I do with it?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. What just came to my mind then as you were talking is just, it landed for me is it's that perception around the dark. And, it's like, it's just like feminine and masculine. You can have a toxic feminine and masculine, or you can have that divine feminine and divine masculine. And it's that, like the feminine and masculine are still there. It's just that perception and framework, I think, around it, which is what kind of come through for me then as you were speaking. I wanted to ask you about balance. You were talking about how, you're busy, you've got sold out programs, and I know, like, you've got kids, so, there's so much. How do you really dance with that balance?
That is still one that is in work constantly. And you're right, I've got 3, I was going to say young children. They are still young. My eldest will be 13 this year and my youngest is 8. So yes, anytime after 3 o'clock is full of after school activities and we are go. So there is still that balance absolutely that needs to be done. But it's also honouring myself. So previously, before I began this spiritual journey or this awakening, I was in that perception and I was I was living the role that I needed to do everything for everyone else. I was the typical mother in wife, in the sense that I did everything for my children, I did everything for my husband, and I did nothing for me. So there has been a big learning curve for my whole family as I've stood up and changed that balance. But at the same time, it's still a work in progress. It's so much better now, but I also have to remind myself of the role that I've got in that world, not a different world, but in that sense as well, but how we are all a working unit and we all work together. We all have our roles that we do and it doesn't all fall on me. And at the same time, making sure I have the time and space for my devotions to be able to sit and do my meditation and run programs, but also making sure I've got that family time in there as well. But it is absolutely coming back to my own power and my own self and understanding that when I am happy, everyone else, it flows out to everybody else. And that's not to say that I am selfish and do things that, rock the boat on the other side, but it's that balance of making sure that I am serving myself as well as serving others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, it's like, and I don't know, it might be just me, but, I don't think so, is when you love what you do, like I'm on and I'm in it and I'm all in. And so I've been like working day and night, and because, I'm in Melbourne, so, I'm not running around after school, and so I have time, which has been fantastic, I reckon I've gained about 30 hours a week just by not running the kids around everywhere. But I've been working. And so I've been on. And I feel like when you love, it's very easy to go down that track. So
yes,
and it feels good, right? Like when you're having these freaking glorious conversations and you're actually with client, like
it's nothing better, isn't it? It's just the best thing. And you're right, it's taken a lot of balancing back the other way, because I spent my whole life not knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up. Even when I was 35, I'm now 41. When I was 35, I was telling everyone, I think I'm having a midlife crisis, an early midlife crisis, because it's like I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I searched for so long trying to find something that fulfilled me. And now that I've found it, yes, I want to do it all the time. Like I get off my calls and I am so high vibing. I finish with my clients and I am just loving life. And it has been just recently, it's funny you say that, because just recently I've had to realize that the balance has been a little bit out of kilter, and I've had to have a look at what that balance needs to be, which is why I was saying it's still a work in progress, because I love what I do, and I'm having to just understand that I need to still have that balance in all areas of my life.
Yeah, I ask selfishly because I'm dancing that right now, and but I feel like a lot of us that are doing this work, because it does feel so delicious and so yummy when we're serving in this way. Like it's incredible. But then I kind of go, oh, like I'm doing nothing. What is this thing? Nothing. Like I feel that twitch kind of come back,
Oh yes, it is one of those things, balancing. But I at the same time, I think what a privilege it is to do something that we love so great.
Oh, absolutely.
And whenever I was going to say, just when I get to the end of my programs, I normally tell them all the way through too, like I just feel so privileged that these clients, these women have come on this journey with me, because it's my medicine as well, and I just love it. And get to do something that I love, which 5 years ago I didn't think was ever going to be a possibility. Like I just was still searching so badly, and I didn't think it was possible. And in fact, everything in front of me told me it wasn't. Like all the experiences, all my life journey, everyone who I'd seen who was working told me it's not possible to do it. In fact, I had people tell me it's not possible. I remember having a conversation with a friend before I began my studies, and I remember just saying, I just want to do something when I get out of bed I love and I'm excited to do. And they said that to me, that is impossible. That is a pipe dream. Nobody gets out of bed loving what they do. You just have to go to work and do what you do. And I'm like, I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe that's possible. And now I'm so freaking glad that it's not possible, that it's possible to be able to get out of bed excited and not like, I can't wait till I get in my office and sit in front of my computer and see those glorious women appear in front of me. I just think it's the best thing ever.
It is. And you know what, like when I was 18, I lived in Alice, and I just started a new job, and it was my first managerial job, and I just, I loved it. Like I'm a worker. I've always been a worker, and I've had so many different. 1 year I got 5 group certificates. Like I'm nuts, and that's not 5 different jobs. Like that's just working like so many different things. But she said to me, she said it doesn't matter. She said it doesn't matter what you do, Renee. She said you spend more time at work than anywhere else in your life, with your boyfriend, with your friends, with your family. She said you have to love what you do. And I've just carried that with me. So like I've worked in lots of such a variety of different industries, and it doesn't matter what I do, but I always made sure I had love for it. And so for me, that I was lucky enough that I was, because when she said it, it landed. And so I've always, and probably pretty much on the other side, where as soon as I As soon as I haven't loved it, I'm like, okay, got to go. It's wipe my hands with it and move on.
No, that's amazing, because that's something I tell my kids already when they talk, because already they're starting to talk about what they'll do when they grow up, and I'm like, whatever you do, just make sure it's something you love.
Yeah.
Like, what do you love now? And just following that path. Like, just make sure it's something you love.
Yeah.
Because that was not something that I was taught. I was taught you've got to, study hard to get the best job you can so you earn the most money, so you are secure. Like, security was the big thing. But now it's like, no, like, if you do something you love, that's all going to come with it. Like, that's all going to flow through as well.
Yeah.
It's just making sure you've got, again, that balance in that sense as well.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes it's like, what if I have no fallback option? What if that safety net is gone?
Yeah.
And you commit, like you fully commit to it. I think that's been such a huge one, for me as well, to go, no, this is it. This is the thing. This is the thing now. And there was another question in there that you said earlier. It was a couple of words. So for those people who, and I feel like this year, like a lot of people are experiencing this, and that is like you was talking about, I think when you said when you were 35 and you were still, feeling like, you're going through a midlife crisis and you were lost, and that I feel like this is something that's going to be alive in a lot of people right now, is they're feeling lost and they're feeling really uncertain. What do they do?
And that was me. As I said, I woke up at about 35 and I thought, if I live to 70, I'm halfway through my life. Yeah. And I remember checking in with how I felt, and I was like, oh God, if I was my deathbed, like at 70, feeling like I am now, oh God, no. Yeah. I was like, because I was miserable. I had everything life told me I should have. I had the 3 kids, we had our house, I had my own bookkeeping business, I had everything life told me I should have, and I was miserable. Yeah. And I realized it was nothing external I had to change, it was internal. Yeah. And that I'd had that feeling, that yearning for so long, but I had pushed it down. And the moment I actually realized admitted to myself I wasn't happy with where I was, I could then say, okay, my eyes are open, what else is there? Yeah. And those words, I didn't even speak out loud, just that conversation I had within me, it was like I cracked open my heart, I invited the infinite in. I was like, okay, I am actually not happy where I am. What else is possible for me? Yeah. And everything began to appear in front of me. And I was one of those people who was very impatient. I wanted to, I joked all the time, still joke. I used to joke all the time, even all the way through my studying. I was like, I wish God would just send me a memo, an A4 memo of what I meant to do with my life. What's going to happen?
Slap me in the head with it.
Like, can you just give it to me?
It's like the Aldi ads, when they do something like to remind you of the super specials.
I was like, can you just hit me with it, please? And of course, it doesn't work like that. Damn. But then I came to understand that was all, again, part of understanding who I am and the journey that I needed to go on to have a bit of faith and a bit of trust. But it was definitely, and I see it a lot of people who just aren't happy, but they're just too scared to do anything. So they're still, like I was, pushing it down and just ignoring it because it'll get better, something else will happen. But the biggest thing to do is begin by just admitting to yourself that you're not where you want to be. Yeah. This isn't how you want your life to be. You are ready for something else. Yeah. You're ready for something else. And you don't have to know what that something else is. You don't have to get that plan or that memo from God. You just have to be willing. And you have to be willing for change. And that's a lot of the time why people don't want to admit or go on a journey, because they don't know what that change looks like. because change is scary. Yes, so we get pushed out of our comfort zone, and so often everyone's like, well, I'm not happy where I am, but I know what it's like. I know what tomorrow is going to bring me, even though I could do with it being a bit nicer. Because they're afraid of that change, they stay there. So I would just say, admit you're not happy where you are, and be ready and willing for whatever comes your way, because there will be moments that are uncomfortable. There will be moments where you're unsure, and you will say, why did I ever do this? But then when you get to the other side, you'll be like, thank God. Thank God I did it. Thank God I admitted that I wasn't happy where I was. Thank God I decided that I didn't want to stay here anymore. And look where I am now. Look at the difference I've been able to create.
Yeah, absolutely. When you said you had a yearning, was it a quiet yearning or was it a loud yearning?
Well, it's funny, when I was only about 18, 19, I remember thinking, I'm meant to be here. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. I didn't know what that reason was. I'm like, God damn, I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's all right. The reason will find me.
Yeah.
And I went into my 20s, it didn't find me. And then I got married, had kids, and went into my 30s, and it still hadn't found me. And the yearning had, like, it was always there, but I hadn't given it that attention, because I thought, well, I'll let fate bring it in. I'll let the universe will conspire, and whatever's meant to be was meant to be. But obviously that was not my journey.
Yeah.
So when I had a medical scare with they found a carcinoid tumor when I had a colonoscopy when I was 35 or 36. And so that just added on top of that feeling. So I had that yearning of I'm not happy. And then I kept staying where I was. I kept staying. And then my physical body began to show me as well that I'm not happy where I was.
Yeah.
And then that was really the awakening. That was like, bang out that yearning was like, okay, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Now is the time. Don't sit there and think that everything's going to unfold for you. You have to actually say, yes, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm willing to be part of the journey myself. I'm not going to allow what I was hoping, and I think that's because I thought I was separate to the universe. I was hoping that the universe would come in and just switch my life, flick a switch, and then I'd be like, oh, here we go. That's what I meant to do. So I was waiting for something outside of me to change my life.
Yeah.
And then that yearning got so loud, I was like, oh shit, I don't think it's outside of me anymore. I think it's actually, I've got to come back in. That yearning is just too big now, and I need to discover what I need to do.
Yeah. I really love that. And I honor that. Just the journey that you've had with that. And I think that a lot of people can resonate, definitely. The question that kind of popped up that I've been kind of feeling for about a week now is, what do you have? You were just talking about how, you were waiting for the divine, you were waiting for the universe to flick that switch, but it was you. What do you say to that? Because on the flip side, in spirituality, that can also create that paralyzed feeling where it hasn't arrived yet. It's not time. Like the divine or God or universe, it'll present itself to me.
Yeah.
How do you navigate and explore that?
That's a big one. But again, you need to just really come back to that, to your heart center, because so often we say, okay, well, the timing's not right. I haven't had the signs, the timing's not right, so I'm not going to do it. But actually, our fear is so intense. It's blocked, and it's covered up all of the so-called signs from the universe.
Yes.
So we're not willing and have our eyes open to hear and see them.
Yeah.
So it's coming back to that understanding of yourself and having that faith and that trust and practicing understanding the difference between the two. Because yes, you're right, I get told when the perfect time is there, then everything will fall into place. But I've never followed that rule. I waited many years to follow that rule,
right, exactly.
and it didn't work. And then the moment I said, okay, well, I'm in it too, let's do this thing, that is when everything started unfolding. And there were times, I have to tell you, there were times where I didn't know the difference between whether I should be doing it or whether I shouldn't be. But I kept coming back to my heart space. I kept coming back to my heart center and going, okay, well, tell me, is it actually time for me to do this? And all of the decisions that I took over the last 2 years, I could have told myself were the wrong time, and that I didn't have the signals to do them. I didn't have the signs to do them. I didn't have the money to do that course, or I didn't have the this, or I didn't have that. I could have always talked myself out of everything. And there were times where the monkey chatter and the ego was very loud and telling me that I shouldn't be, that it's not the right time. And that's when I had to just stop and take those deep breaths and come back to my heart and say, okay, well, you tell me. You tell me the truth. And it always does. It always does. So don't wait. It's not, the universe isn't separate from us. We are that. Yes, we are the universe. We are interconnected. We are not separate. There is nothing outside of me that has more power over me. I hold that power. I am that. So the more we sit there putting our power and our faith in something outside of us, it's never going to lead us to the right place. We have to understand that it's not separate. We are one and the same, and it's coming back to that truth always. Do not wait for something outside of you to tell you it's the right time. Don't wait for some sign outside of you. Come back to your heart. Your heart knows the truth always.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what comes to mind, is just like divine timing is a thing, but only when you're attuned to it. You know.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful, Brooke. I really, How can people begin to open themselves up to receive wealth and that freedom and flow?
Beautiful question. Again, it starts with that willingness and that choice. We underestimate the power of choice. And anyone that's been following me for a while, I riff on choice quite a bit, because I myself didn't realize the choice I had in my life. And every time I say that, it's like, of course you know what choice you have, but I didn't understand the power I had. I get to choose how I feel every day. I get to choose the vibration I hold. I get to choose so much of my life. And it begins with a choice. Make that choice to welcome in abundance. Make that choice to be wealthy and to receive money. Make that choice to begin with, and then go on that journey to see, okay, well, what is standing in my way between creating that? And all it will be with those fears, those undercurrent fears we were talking about. And we can work with those and clear those. You can do that yourself. I don't do it. Everyone heals themselves, and again, heal's not the word I want to use, but everyone is able to work through those themselves. We just have to have that willingness and that choice to decide. To begin making that decision that, yes, I am worthy of receiving abundance. And begin to bring that feeling state in that we talked about, that feeling state of what it feels like to be abundant and wealthy, and what would you do with that money? Like, what lives would you change? What difference would you make in the world? Just start connecting in with that delicious, glorious feeling, and understand how much, and power and money. People don't like the idea of power and money, or wanting that, but to be able to change the world, to make a difference, you need money.
You need both.
And you need power comes with it, and you have to be comfortable with both of those things.
That's right. Absolutely.
And when you actually connect into that feeling state and understand the difference and how it feels, because our whole life we've been told that money is yucky. and it's not nice, and we associate that with that feeling state. We're like, oh, and we need to understand there's an energy behind it. And if we connect in and start retraining our bodies and our minds and our hearts to connect money with that glorious high vibrational feeling state, with that love and that joy and that gratitude, start connecting those two and make the choice to receive, that is a beautiful place to begin.
I love that. It's just such power in that. And it's really simple. Like, it's actually, and I mean, and simple is very different to easy. I acknowledge that, but it is, and you're just feeling how I'm feeling as you're talking. Like, it's just that energy. It's like relief.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
and it is.
He's like, oh.
And it is such relief. It's like, oh, thank God. I don't have to be stressed about money. I can enjoy money.
Yeah.
Like, I can enjoy money.
Yes.
Like, and because we've been told our whole life we can't, but we get to enjoy it. We get to do such amazing things with it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Money is amazing. Like, it brings so much joy and so much gratitude and so much amazingness, and we get to it. Like, that in itself, as you say, is such a relief. But allow yourself, you have to make that choice to allow yourself to feel that. And as you say, it's simple in theory, it's not always easy in practice, because obviously then we get the fears and the grumblings and the little voices come up and go, oh, well, you can't feel like that, that's not you, and we have to work our way through them. That is all part of the process. But really come back to that feeling state and what is possible, and open up that your willingness to arrive there.
I love that. We're gonna have to wrap up. There's kind of that part where I'm like, oh,
went really fast.
It does. It always goes so fast. It's because it's fun. It is. And I just think, for me, it's like, oh, it's just the best way to start the week ever.
I've got to agree with you in that. That was just amazing.
Just one final question before we wrap up. And what is turning you on right now?
Oh, so much. Connection is absolutely turning me on right now. The glorious women that I get to spend time with, the love and the gratitude and the joy I feel for them. Seeing women earn money really turns me on at the moment. Like, I am loving seeing people smashing their income goals and making a difference like that. I'm like, yes, I'm loving it. And seeing these women and the joy just become from them as well. There's nothing better. Seeing women shine, seeing women and change the world absolutely is rocking the world at the moment.
Absolutely. Ditto. It is. It's such a beautiful thing to witness and be a part of.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been so good, and just to be able to connect and hang out with you.
Me too.
I'll put all of your links in the show notes. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing all the work that you do. Thank you for doing it in a way that you can be completely humble and real and as you are, and still do amazing things and epic shit, I see why you've got this army around you, and it's such beautiful work, and I feel your love and I feel your dedication and devotion to that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you. I am loving this journey, and as I say, I am and the purest and the rawest version of myself I have ever been. And you can love me or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone's on their own journey, but yes, what you see is what you get with me. And yeah, but thank you so much for having me here. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you and hang out with you.
My pleasure. It's been awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who has tuned in. If you've got any questions, then please pop them in and we'll come back and answer them for sure. So thank you,
Absolutely.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.